It is time once again for an update for my Out the Door in 24 panning project. This project is a way to kind of help curate your makeup collection, but without just wholesale decluttering of your products, because the intended goal is to actually use them up and then only declutter what's still left at the end of the year. And this project is unique because not only are you focusing on makeup and beauty products to use up and get out of your inventory, but it also has a household decluttering component, and I'll get to that at the end of the video. It has been 2 months since I've done an update. I'll explain that in just a little bit, but the exciting news is we have new pans and new empties. Hi, I'm Tina. Welcome to my Out the Door in 24 project pan update. This project was the brainchild of Deb B, and it is a Pantastic Ladies collab. I'll have all the information about it listed and linked down in the description box below. If you've been watching, you know all the details and you don't want to hear them again. And if you haven't been watching, you can find the information if you're interested. Just a little bit of housekeeping to get out of the way before I dive into the products. And that is that I have 2 panning projects going on right now. I have this one, and then I also have the Panning Cats and Dogs project pan. And both of them have been going on for a while now, so there's not been a lot of movement in the products. So I've decided that I am going to alternate the updates every other month. So last month I updated the Panning Cats and Dogs. This month I'm updating the Out the Door in 24. Next month will be Panning Cats and Dogs. You get the idea. But I have a lot of ideas that happen in the last 2 weeks of the month, and I just don't have that many video slots. So I thought this would kind of help break up the content a little bit, give me a little more room for some new things that I'm working on, and also give the updates for those who are interested in them. In order to kind of help keep me organized, I go through the products the way I put them on my face. And so we are starting off with a bang and with an empty. And that is with the Iris and Romeo, or Iris and Romeo. I'm not really sure how you say that, but it is the Weekend Skin SPF. It has an SPF of 50. It also has vitamin C in it. Now, I just recently saw Angie, Hot and Flashy, review this in her sunscreen roundup. And also Jen Phelps is doing a 30 days of SPF, and she reviewed it. Angie didn't like it at all. Jen was about it. I actually really didn't have any problems using it, which is surprising because Angie has kind of oily skin, Jen has kind of dry skin, and I'm more like Angie as far as skin type, so I did not have a problem using this up. However, it wasn't my favorite. It's a little glowier than I like for a sunscreen, and especially getting into the hot weather. It's also $50, and I'm not spending $50 on an SPF because there are others that are a lot less that I like a lot more. But I'm really excited that it's gone. It is an airless pump, so I suppose I could cut it off and scrape some of it out and probably get another couple of uses, but honestly, I didn't like it enough to even be bothered. It's gone. I did not track usage on this, by the way. It was in my bathroom and I just used it every morning. I did finish it in June. My goal was to have it gone by July because that is its expiration. And so I managed to use it up before it expired. Then waiting in the wings has been this luxury Sun Ritual Pore Smoothing SPF 30 from St. Jane. Now, this one is a little tricky because it separates. And so I have to remember to kind of give it one of those before I open it and put it on. Otherwise, it's kind of oily. Since it has a black label, I put a sticker on it on the back, and I marked where it was when I started, and this is where it is now. And I have used it 5 times. Because this lives in my bathroom away from my vanity and my tracking tools and all of that, I just figured the sticker would be the best way to keep track. This one expires in December of this year, and I should have absolutely no trouble using it up by then. Next on my list is the Essence Hydrating Primer. I like using this on the perimeter of my face. Don't use a hydrating primer quite as often in the summertime, so it might be a little harder to get use out of this until we get to the fall, but I still will use it. And I did use the binder clip trick to get the air out of this before I marked it. And I guess it's not airtight because air keeps seeping back in, making it look like there's more in here than there actually is. I did use this 7 times in May and June. Remember, now I'm giving you usage for 2 months for a total usage of 25 since the project started. Then I have 2 foundations in the project. Both of them are Misha BB creams. One is the shade 21 and one is the shade 27. This one's too light, this one's too dark. I mix them and it's just right. But sometimes I use them to mix with other foundations too. Number 21, I am here on, and I used it 6 times in May and June for a total of 18. 27, I have more left in, and it is at this mark right here. I also used it 6 times in May and June for a total of 19 uses. Next up is my Becca Issue eyeshadow primer. And this one, again, is another one. It's hard to get all of the air out, but I am actually showing progress in my usage. Now, I have written down that I used this 16 times in May and June, but I can guarantee you that it's more than that because I use it almost every time I do my eyeshadow. And then I have a total usage of 45 since January. I really like this primer because not only does it help hold the eyeshadow in place, it also provides coverage on my eyelids, which I need because I have veining and redness and that kind of thing. But it doesn't make my eyelids look more dry or crepey. I do have a concealer in the project. It's the Morphe Filter Effect Soft Radiance Concealer, and it's in the shade Light 6 Neutral. It's really hard to see through this bottle how much is in here. I tried the flashlight trick. I've tried a couple of different things, but this is what worked. I am going to show you how I'm going to measure this Morphe Filter Effect concealer. I have already taken the stopper out because I know that there's not very much in here. So there's a lot on the wand, and now there's no stopper. And I tried doing a flashlight like down this way, and I can really see like through the glass really far down. So then I got the idea, what if I take my makeup spatula, this is a one piece, so nothing's going to come apart in here, and used it like a dipstick in your car. So I'm going to put it down in there, just touch the bottom and come out, and you can see how much concealer was in the bottom. And then if I hold this up so that it looks like it would about touch the bottom, then you can see that I made that mark. So that's how I decided to measure this. There's not much left in there. And now I can, because the stopper's not in there, it gives a little more wiggle room. So it's easier to like get it down in there and get more out. I used that 8 times in May and June for a total usage of 18 since the beginning of the year. This shade actually is much better as a face concealer for me than it is for an under eye concealer. I do use it for under eyes as well. It's just not very brightening when I do that. The Flower Beauty Miracle Matte Translucent Finishing Powder is gone. I am so excited that it's gone. Not because I didn't like it, but because this component is just so huge. It takes up so much room. It doesn't fit where I store the rest of my powders. And it is a very finely milled powder, but it's gotten a little age on it and it was starting to get really dusty. So I'm very glad that it's gone. In May, I only needed to use this twice and it was gone. And I ended up using the little bit that was left in there a total of 12 times. Next up is the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer in Honey Drip. And this one has definitely expanded the pan that you can see in the middle there. I'll show you a little bit closer up. This one I used 13 times in May and June for a total of 28 uses. Next up was my powder bronzer, and that's the Laura Geller Beach Matte Baked Hydrating Bronzer in Siesta Medium. And this one I haven't looked at the comparison yet, so I don't know how much more pan there is, but I've used it, so I feel like there must be more pan, but I'm also really trying to focus on using some of these outer edges, so you might not see much growth in the pan in the middle because of the way I've been trying to use it. In May and June, I used this bronzer 10 times for a total of 24 uses. Next up is my Doll 10 Hydrogel Cream Blush in She's a Doll. And this one, I can definitely see a dip in the center, but I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. It's really hard sometimes to pick up these changes on camera. But in person, I can definitely see a dip, and that's because I used it 10 times in May and June for a total of 23 uses. This next one is so frustrating to me because it never changes. I use it and I use it and it just doesn't change. And you're not going to be able to see anything. I can't see anything. I guess one of these days I'm just going to see pan because I know I'm using it and I know there's less in there, but I can't tell, so I'm sure you can't either. However, I did use this 14 times in May and June for a total of 25 uses. Moving into my highlighters, this is exciting to me because I actually can see a difference in these. This is the Wander Beauty Wanderess Glow highlighter, and I definitely see more of a dip in this one. You can really see it, I think, in the overhead. I only used it 5 times in the 2 months, May and June, but that gives me a total of 14 uses. Then the next highlighter I have in here is the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector Rose Quartz. This one, if you remember, I had to repress it because it fell out of the pan last time. And so I don't know that there's going to be any obvious usage. I used it 8 times in May and June for a total of 17 uses. Next up is my ColourPop Super Shock Highlighter in Flexitarian. And this one I put in the Pen and Cats and Dogs project as well for a 10-use goal. And I met that and exceeded it. And I do think that you can definitely see a dip in the center of this one. With the uses in the Pen and Cats and Dogs project in May, plus the uses in June, I used this 14 times for a total of 18 uses. This next one I'm really excited for because it has some big progress to show. This is the e.l.f. Bite Size Palette in Cream and Sugar, and I have new pan in this shade right there. It's a little easier to see in the overhead, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in. What you can't really see in the overhead is that there's wear showing in the brown shadow as well. There's kind of getting a little dip in the center. And then, of course, the light blending shade on the end is almost gone. There's just a little bit holding on in the corners. This one I used 5 more times in May and June for a total of 13. And my goal on this one was to use the first 3 shades up completely and show wear in the brown shade. Moving on to eyeliners, I have 2 in this project. Whoop. The first one is my Wet n Wild Kohl eyeliner pencil. This is the one that's 98 cents, sometimes $1.25, depending on where you get it. And I use this almost every day, so my usage totals are definitely low. And I'm keeping track of this on this piece of paper. I was here in April, and now at the end of June, I'm here. I do have pretty consistent usage on it. The usage for May and June is about double what it was the months before when I was tracking monthly. So I don't know how much I'm going to be able to sharpen in here. Sometimes the pencil part actually stops a little bit up from the bottom. So we'll just have to see how far I get. And I don't know if I'll be able to use it up by the end of the year or not. I do have some other brown eyeliners that sometimes I just get bored with this and use. That one I have marked down that I used 21 times in May and June for a total of 41 uses. Then I have the Wet n Wild Breakup Proof eyeliner. This one is a regular sharpening pencil. This one is a retractable gel pencil. So if you remember, I had 2 of these, and I initially had a different one in that only had about that much left. I went to use it in April. It was completely dried out, would not transfer, and so it went in the trash, and I replaced it with this one. So what I did was I twisted it all the way up, and I don't want to do that too much because I don't want to break it. Twisted it all the way up, marked from here, the bottom of what I can use, to the top of it on an index card. And so this is where it was at the end of April, and this is where it is now. I don't feel like I use a black eyeliner very often, but in the 2 months that I've been using it, I used it 10 times. And that is the total usage so far on this product. Next up are my lip products, and I have some pretty exciting progress on those. The first one is the Signature Lip Pencil from Moira in Posh Pink. This is my perfect neutral, your lips but better lip liner. I can use this with a nude pink. I can use this with a nude brown. It's very versatile. It's creamy, it lasts well, and I just really like it. Again, putting the pencil at the bottom of my index card and marking where the tip is. When I started at the beginning of May, I was here, and now at the end of June, I'm here. This is another one that I have fairly consistent use on, and so it's probably going to just keep moving down the page about the same amount, and we'll see where we get by the end of the year. That I used 12 times in the months of May and June for a total of 25 uses. I have the ColourPop Lippy Sticks in the color Cookie. This is such a great neutral for me, but if you notice, it is gone. Now I can probably squeeze a little bit out to swatch it for you. Unfortunately, it's no longer available. I did kind of use my finger a little bit, but I'm not going to dig it out to use it because I have other neutrals that I like just as well as this one. And so this is getting moved into my Empties. I used it 10 times in May and then it was finished. The last lip product I have in here is the e.l.f. Mint Melt Lip Gloss. I actually was a little sad when the ColourPop Lippy Stick got used up before the pencil and the gloss because it's such a perfect combination. But I have other lipsticks that are in that same color family, so it's not too terrible. This one was here at the end of April, and it is now here at the end of June. It's getting a little difficult to get more out of the bottom of it. It might be about time to take the stopper out. This one had 12 uses in May and June for a total of 25. And my final product is the AOA A+ Setting Spray. This bottle is empty, but it's empty because I did not like the sprayer. It spit all over my face, came out like a fire hose. So when I finished my LA Girl Setting Spray in April and started using the AOA Setting Spray, I just put it in here because the sprayer works so much better. I thought I was going to have this gone by this update, but there is just enough for one more use in there. So tomorrow, this will be gone. And I think I'm going to count it as an empty in this update. Might be cheating a little, but seriously, you guys, one use and it'll be gone. This bottle, when I transferred it over into the other one, was half gone. So I used it 18 times in May and June, including the one I'm going to do tomorrow. Besides, it's still June, so it counts. For a total of 26 uses to empty this bottle starting from here. So if you were counting, that means I used up 4 products in the months of May and June. Add that to the 2 that were used up in April. And so far with this project, I've used 6 of the products that I brought into it. That's 1/4 of the way through, but I feel like this is going to kind of be one of those things that when it starts rolling down the hill, more things will roll out later in the project than in the beginning of it. But as I said in the beginning, the makeup and beauty products are only one part of this project. The other part is each month, your goal is to declutter 24 items from your home. Those can be big items, they can be small items, it can be junk mail, it can be whatever you deem needs to be gotten out of your house. And in May, I did my seasonal closet swap, so there were some clothes that I decluttered, including 3 pairs of jeans, 5 sweaters, 1 dress, 1 pair of pants, 3 shirts, and 2 pairs of sweatpants for a total of 15 items of clothing. I also did a bathroom counter declutter in the beginning of May. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put that up there in the cards for you to watch. And I got rid of a lot of stuff then. So that covers the rest of my 24 items. For those of you who are still with me, I have a question for you. If you wouldn't mind answering down in the comments, what kind of other content do you like to watch? I'm actually considering broadening my niche a little bit. And I have some ideas of things that I think my audience would enjoy. Primarily, my audience is over 40 and female. And I've been thinking a lot lately that I have more interest than just makeup. And I'm sure that you probably do too. So if I were to do other kinds of content in addition to the makeup and beauty content, what would you like to see? Or on the other hand, if I were to do other kinds of content besides makeup and beauty, would that turn you off and you wouldn't watch anymore? Please let me know because I am genuinely curious. I mentioned my closet video. I'll have that there, and my bathroom counter declutter if you haven't seen them. I hope you have a beautiful, blessed day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. So if you were counting, that means I used up 4 of the projects. Ugh.